Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hello, and a very good afternoon to you on this Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you and yours, and make sure you drink excess alcohol as long as you're not driving. Well, welcome to Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm your host, Xander Gibb, and no, I've not been hitting the pop yet, but I do plan to later. Some of you were probably expecting Dr. Katie on today's show, but due to a scheduling issue, we had to rebook that for next week. So Dr. Katie will be with us next week talking about the psychology of love and sexuality, which will be very interesting. But today, my guests are Rob Saul and Travis Wetstein from the Rob and Trav show. I'll tell you a little bit more about that very soon. All this for your delectation, delight, and entertainment. If you want to interact with us during the show, because we're very high-tech here, you can talk to us in the chat room at the bottom of the show page or on Twitter. My Twitter is at Xander Gibb. That's Xandergibb. That's Gibb. And you can tweet me if you have a question or a comment that you're too shy to call in and put forward to us. I'll make your point for you. Now, you can also tweet my guests, Rob, on at Rob Saul, ROBSAUL, capital R, capital S, and Trav on at Travis Wetstein. I'm not sure if it's Steen or Stein, but anyway, it doesn't matter with written. Capital T, capital W, and it's as follows. TravisWettein. My guess is it's Stein. And you can also call us during the show on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. You can call us with questions, comments, or you can just tell us to go and F ourselves, as long as you do it in a nice way. Don't forget the last section of this show is going to be still dedicated to What's Your Beef? Call us and tell us who's pissed you off this week. I don't know, maybe it's me. Maybe it's Rob and Trav. I don't know. But call in and share that with us. Don't forget to check out every Saturday the Jake Pentland Show, 1 p.m. PST, 4 p.m. EST with Jake, Jen, and Eli, and all the crazy cult of Jake peeps. And Time Out Seat with Brandy and Jenny. Now, I'm never sure what day their show is going to be on, but it's well worth checking out. Check their Twitter page for further details, and that's at Time Out Seat, and it's spelled as it said, TIMEOUTSEAT. Now, don't forget to also check out my guests today. They have a show every Monday and Tuesday, as I'm sure you know, 8 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. PST, and that's on grindhouseradio.com. That's grindhouseradio.com, and it gets very heated there sometimes. I know it did last week, and I'm sure we'll touch on that a little later. So let me just go to the chat room and see who's there. Good afternoon, Joe. Welcome to the show. And good afternoon to you, Austin, and to all the guests. Joe is saying there's nothing on the page yet about when Time Out Seat is. And yes, Joe, I do look at Twitter. Let me just see if my guests are here. It looks like one of them is, so I will do the introduction. Maybe they're both actually there on the same line. So my guests today, as I said, are Rob Saul and Travis Wetstein, hosts of the Rob and Trav show. And we're going to talk about life, Twitter, and its eerie way of inducing a competitive edge, politics. And we're also going to discuss our shared love. No, not that of gay porn, but of the organic lifestyle. Are you there, guys?
I'm here. I don't know what the fuck Rob's doing, but I'm... Oh, can I curse on your show?
But you just did, so it doesn't matter, does it? How are you doing, Trav?
I'm doing well. I'm sitting here relaxing with a little Mary Jane. And you know what? I'm surprised. I knew you had an extravagant voice Xander, but you actually said scheduling today, and I was shocked.
Well, I spent a lot of my life in the UK, so my head is kind of very mixed. Some words come out really American, and other words come out very British. And if I've been speaking to my mom on the phone, I kind of come away talking like this, so I just kind of never know where I'm at till I open my mouth, basically.
Right. Let's have us a spot of tea.
Yes, let's have a cup of tea and some scones and some more of that lovely fucking jam.
It's got to be organic jam, though. Come on now. Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. But it's really funny. Every time I hear you on your show talking about organic, I always want to ask you, and obviously you don't kind of look at the chat and stuff, but I always want to ask you if you ever considered organic marijuana, because I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in, where the hell do they live? Somewhere in the deep south, but they were saying now that you can actually get organic marijuana seeds. Have you ever heard anything about this? I haven't, and I need to find out, because if I'm going to go all organic, it needs to be 100%, and I'm not going to stop smoking weed. So that being said, I got to figure out where to get these things, and right now I'm just clueless on the whole matter.
Right. Yeah, I found that I'm a bit of a Craigslist queen, and I look down the free section. You know, it's the Jew in me that wants something for free, and and I always look in there. And the other day, it was funny. I'd been listening to the show, and basically I saw this ad for some free organic seeds, because everybody talks about growing organically, but what they forget is, you know, you've actually got to use organic seeds and organic soil to actually make it organic. And I saw this ad and I thought, oh, I'll pass it on to you and see if it's of any interest.
Right. Well, it's certainly of interest. Now, as far as organic soil, I don't know. I didn't buy any extra soil. Listen, I don't have a whole lot of money. You know, I'm not some big shot farmer. This is, my own project in my own backyard. And I didn't buy organic soil, but I just made the assumption that since there were no chemicals ever used in that yard for growing, that the soil was just automatically organic.
Right. Well, I thought that too. I mean, I want to start growing all of my own food, but circumstances prevent me from doing that until I get my own, buy a house that I actually own with a yard. Brandy and Jenny, who are Jake's sisters, as you know, they often do stuff on organic farming and things like that. And just from some of the research I did about, just growing the basics, from myself, like potatoes, beans, all of those things, the soil kind of needs to be organic. But I heard you say something on the show the other day that I thought was interesting too. But did you know that some local universities will test soil for you for its purity? Maybe purity is not the right word, but to see actually how organic
makeup.
it is.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
To see what properties it has. Yeah, I did not know that. And I guess the closest university to me would be, Rowan. I'm not real sure, but I don't know. I'll have to take the bus to Rowan someday. By the way, I'm coming to you live right now from Gam's basement, just so you know.
Right. So is that where you live, or?
I don't live in the basement. Actually, I'm a step up from that. I live in the living room, so I'm a little better than most scrubs. Yeah,
I was just last week. Somebody said I lived in my sister's basement, and I don't. I'm a step up from the basement. I have the first floor apartment, but hey, wherever you live, it's cool with me. I think as long as you have somewhere to live. Oh, welcome to the chat room, Cheryl Carter, and Prophetess Cheryl Yarbe. Welcome, whoever you are. I think you're a Xandermonium virgin, but welcome to the show. Joe, you're trying to send me a DM, and all I'm seeing is gobbledygook. I think you have to change your font to from Klingon to I don't know, something else. But I can't read Klingon except when I'm drunk. So let's just check.
Nice.
Rob is still not here yet. We'll have to give him a tardy slip. But it's funny. Tell us a little bit about, because you guys started off here on Blog Talk, didn't you, with your own show? Tell us a little bit about how that kind of came about, how you first started doing a radio show.
Well, we actually started out on some little-ass network called Talk Shoe Radio, and it was the same sort of format as Blog Talk, a little downgraded from Blog Talk's capabilities, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Basically, Rob and I, and Rob's always been the entertainment junkie. You'll notice he stays more active on Twitter. He wants to interact with celebrities and whatnot. I'm not like that. I'm a little more withdrawn. I like to fly under the radar and whatnot. So really, this is his brainchild. But as kids, we would constantly do our own fake radio shows. We had a karaoke machine with microphones and two tape decks and everything like that, so we could play music, during the breaks and all that bullshit. So we've been doing this since we were like 10, 11, 12 years old with this karaoke machine. We had one called Love Life, where we sit there and cry the blues about our love life. And the funny thing is, we put all this dedication into it. Nobody fucking listened to the things. Not one person ever listened to our tapes, I don't think. And he called me up. I was living in New York at the time on Long Island with my ex-girlfriend, and he called me up one day and said, "Look, I have this software or whatever it is. I'm not big on technology either, but he's like, I got this program where we can actually do a radio show, and I don't really want to do it unless you do it with me." So that kind of put me in a bad spot. I'm like, because again, I fly under the radar, no big deal for me, and I'm like, I sort of reluctantly agreed and said, all right, why not? At least it'll give us a chance to talk once a week because, we're living in different states now and have to hang out. So I said, well, at least it'll give us a chance to, shoot the shit because we hardly ever talk. And we started doing it from there. We started getting some low-level guests, from old bands that nobody really listens to anymore. The band Chicago, which they still have some popularity and whatnot.
I love the band Chicago. I grew up with the band Chicago.
Yeah, so did we actually, and it was before our time. But Rob just sort of fell in love with them. So I've been to see Chicago probably about 10 times, and he's been to see Chicago probably about 20 times. So yeah, Chicago was a big influence on us. Growing up, but we started getting, the old drummer from Chicago, and this person, that person. We ended up having Billy Vera on as a guest. He was the one who wrote "At This Moment," which is quite a famous song. And it sort of culminated with Rob started interacting as much as he could with Brad Garrett for some reason, from Everybody Loves Raymond. And he actually helped Brad Garrett, get rid of somebody who was had an account, pretending to be Brad Garrett, and people were believing it. It was before the whole verified shit.
Right, I remember that.
Right, so we had Brad Garrett, and that was the biggest guest we had, and from there we kept ambitious. We got better and better guests. We ended up having Lisa Lampanelli and Jesse Ventura and Don Jameson and Jim Florentine, just guest after guest. We've had a lot of good guests on.
I think it's kind of guest-wise, it kind of seems to be very up and down. I mean, sometimes I've had really well-known people, and then you can't get anyone for weeks. And I've been negotiating with Betty White's people and Yoko Ono, and all these people want to do my show, but they all kind of it's fitting in because most people book the year in advance, and I thought that was just awe-inspiring to be booked a year in advance. I mean,
absolutely, yeah.
That would be absolutely great, and I don't think people kind of realize the complexity of what goes into putting a good show together. Because you don't just get on the air and say, hey, this is my show. Wait a minute, I think this might be Rob. Let's see. Hello, Pizza Express. Can I take your order?
What I miss?
Oh, you missed everything. Trav was just telling us all your secrets and.
No, Jesus, did he already go into the whole matching mole story?
No, we didn't get to that. We were just kind of talking about the complexities of putting a radio show together, because everybody kind of thinks that you just get on the air and talk. But I mean, I know you can do that. I know a lot of people do that. But there's so much preparation that goes into putting a show together. This is Rob Saul, everybody, Trav's co-host from the Rob and Trav show. Welcome to the show, Rob. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Even though you're like 15 minutes late, we're going to wish you. Trav's going to give you a tardy slip.
I know it's awful. It's usually Travis that's pulling this shenanigans, but
I know he sounds very with it today, doesn't he? He's sitting there with Mary Jane, and I thought, you're with Mary Jane, but you just sound so with it.
Well, when you listen to my show, Xander, you have to remember that I'm always drinking on our show. It's been one of the staples of our show. We always have some drinks. Well, drinks and spirits. It's supposed to be a good time. Right now, I'm not on any booze. See, that's what you're detecting.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I think if I drank during a show, I think it would be a totally different outcome. Really, yeah. I don't think I would be very good drunk on air. I don't think it would be something that people would want to listen to.
I tend to think that the shows are better when there is no alcohol involved. And a friend of mine that was on the show when we first started, and we had guests every single week pretty much. We had, we were with it. We were on top of things. We had things prepared. It's just kind of, life kind of gets away. Like you said, there's so much prep in the show, so we'll just get on and have a party sometimes and take calls. And I remember a friend of mine, Michael Caruso, said to me, he said, listen, your show it's falling. I used to think you were one of the best guys in radio, but you want to make it sound like you're having a party, but you can't drinking. You need to be with it. You need to be producing this show. You need to be running the soundboard. You need to have your next question lined up. He said, you can't be drinking. Your audience can be drinking. People around you can be drinking, but you have to be with it. So I try to take that, but a lot of shows I still do have beers, especially if there's like no guests or we're just, hanging out. But, it seems that, I don't know, our show's taken a lot of different directions over the past 3 years.
Well, I think that, I think people expect the same kind of standard, and if they think your show is good, they want the same every week. But it's damn hard to do that. It's damn hard to keep it interesting and have different topics all the time that people, because what I want to talk about is not necessarily what people want to hear about. And people are not good at saying what they want either. I mean, I'm always saying, tweet me, DM me, tell me what you want to see on the show, but no one ever does. So you're kind of left to kind of stumble blindly to choose subject matter that you think people might be interesting. And I kind of use my show as like free therapy. Like a few months ago, my friend died, and I was dealing with grief, and so I did a show on grief. So I kind of do shows. My shows are kind of they're a picture of what's going on in my life because I kind of use them as an outlet too.
Yeah. Right. You got to. I mean, it's sometimes the way I see it, the way our country is right now. The show is the only voice I have, I feel like. The show is the only way I can get my feelings, opinions, and perspectives out there to anybody who will listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do. And do you think that we actually, you see, I believe that we do make a difference, because even if one person hears your message and that institute some change in them, then we've done our job, haven't we? I mean, obviously there's a funny side to it, and there has to be, because otherwise we'd be just slitting our wrists on air. But there has to be something that comes from it, apart from just that's another show chalked up.
Those are the shows that really make the difference. Make a difference for me and make me feel good. If there has been some known difference being made. Like we did a show on suicide prevention that really reached out to a lot of people, and we raised quite a few dollars for a organization for suicide prevention and awareness, and that feels really good. And I think I was telling you, Xander, the other day, I find myself struggling between my real self and who I want to be, and a good person, and a radio host, because my icon in radio is Howard Stern, and I love entertainment. I'm an entertainment junkie. I love goofing on people. I love going back and forth. I love the silly little Twitter radio wars that happen sometimes. But then it's like an automatic switch. As soon as I turn off the microphone, I start feeling guilty about things I said to people.
I hear that.
like for instance, that girl Carly. I'll say I'll really let her have it on the air, and then when I get off the air, I feel bad, and I'm like,
right?
Should I have done that? I mean, people were laughing. It was some funny bits came out of it, and people seemed to enjoy the little, back and forth. But am I affecting someone's self-esteem right now? Is it the cost of myself and someone else's self-esteem?
I think it's hard to see where the line is and to make sure you don't go over it, because I think you have to push the boundary somewhat, because if we don't, then kind of what's it all about. But I think, and I'll be totally honest, I know that I've done things and said things, on Twitter and social media that maybe I shouldn't do. But part of what I do is that I'm supposedly a comedian. I don't think I'm a comedian. I just think I write and say funny things. But sometimes those things are not funny to other people. Like I love nothing more than a good dick joke, but some people find that offensive, and so you do have to be careful. But I think as well with individuals, like you were talking about Carly. I really don't want to get into her very much because I know she, even if you mention her name, she kind of gets offended. But for me, it's always about what I have to take a step back and see what's behind it. You and I, Rob, I've had some words in the past about stuff on Twitter. What normally happens is you come in at the end of a situation and you've not seen what's gone before, so you get the brunt of my wrath, if you like. But I just always now have to take a step back and actually stay, because I am thin-skinned. I can be very kind of over emotional about things, but I have to actually look at where the person is coming from. Are you looking to hurt me by what you've said? And you're not. You're just looking to get a laugh. And I think that's. I think we all have to do. We all have to be more sensitive, but we all have to be more thick-skinned at the same time.
Well, we got to laugh at ourselves. You got to laugh at yourselves, or you'll cry.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is everybody has a piece of it's always fun when the joke's on someone else, but when it comes around to you, and you all got to take your turn when you're on a show where people are goofing on each other. You just it comes time where you're going to get goofed on, and I think everybody when it's their turn gets. Well, even if they're good at laughing it off, there's still a little bit of a sting to it,
Yeah, I think, but I think it goes back to that line again as to, because what some people would find funny, some people just would not. I mean, every week, both Jake and Brody make jokes about the fact that I'm a big guy, I'm overweight, but every week they say that I can't leave the house, I'm too fat to get out of bed, and I have to laugh at this stuff, and that's fine. But if I actually thought that they were doing it to deliberately hurt me, that would be a totally different,
Yeah.
I think it's all about where people are coming from, because I think we have to question that all of the time. Because if you're doing it to deliberately hurt someone, that's one thing. But if you're doing it to get a laugh, I can laugh at myself. I am a fat ass, and so if I can't laugh at it, then I need to address it. You know what I mean? So I think that if we can't laugh at the things that people point out about us, then we kind of need to address it if it's that big a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I at the same time too, I think listeners, I think they like to see other people get goofed on and see other people's shortcomings and whatnot, because some of the most successful moments I've had in radio were completely embarrassing or degrading to me, but the crowd went wild, so to speak. I mean, it probably makes them feel better about themselves, and if I can make somebody feel better about themselves, that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that sometimes we don't even know what comes out of these things. We don't always get to see the kind of outcome of these things. Sorry, I just have to say, people in the chat room are saying that they're hearing an echo. I personally can't hear any echo, and sometimes with Blog Talk there is a lot of echo and problems. But if anyone else is hearing an echo, I'm sorry. I hope it kind of improves for you. Just to go to the chat room very quickly. Hi to Kathy. Hi to Marvin. Hi to Tara. Welcome to the show. Now, one thing I never get to ask you guys, and it's funny because when I listen to your show, there are so many. Obviously, I say a lot of shit in your chat, and I'm always saying things to you about how gay you both are, and all of this, and you take that, like kind of tongue in cheek. You could get really upset about that. But what I always want to ask you guys is, where are you from originally? Because I always pick up this southern twang in your voices. Like there's always like this little southern edge in your voice.
Rob, you want to field that one, or? Nah, look, we're from South Jersey. I mean, and
are you?
Yeah, we born and raised in South Jersey, and I don't know if it's because we're really far south in Jersey. I don't know if it's because we're so far south or whatever. But when I was on Long Island, everybody would say the same thing. Everybody would think I'm from. Oh, you from Georgia or Tennessee or Alabama? But no, just
it's weird It's weird what people hear, like, because I've been raised between the UK and America, and people often say, "Oh, are you Canadian?" No, I'm not Canadian.
No, your accent sounds like you were raised in a British brothel.
Well, I was, funnily enough. You know my mother was a madam, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I was inside.
No, I'm joking.
I'm actually your father, Xander.
Really? I've been trying to find out who it was for all these years. Marvin's asking in the chat room, what's the difference in the format of Xandermonium and Rob and Trav show, formerly Night Views Radio? I think our shows are so different. They're not although they're both podcasts. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think we kind of have a different, we have different styles. I think that's what makes the shows different. What do you think?
Did we lose Rob? Because I'm trying to let him answer some questions here.
Are you there, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know,
weird.
Bro. I don't know. I think.
Hello?
Hi, I'm unmuted now.
Hi.
Hi.
I think you got cut off.
Yeah, I did. People still saying I was echoing, so I tried calling back, but it was.
I didn't realize you'd gone, and I wasn't looking at the switchboard. But we were just talking about, Marvin was asking in the chat room about the difference of the format between like my show and your show, and I think that the difference in styles is kind of more due to the personalities, really. What do you think about that, Rob?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a personality. Travis and I kind of based our interviewing style and our hosting style based on us. We grew up together, and we grew up on a certain kind of humor, the way we talk, the way we act, and we used to, go hang out at, bars, and we would have these loud, boisterous conversations, and people would gather around and watch us fight and argue with each other and have conversations, and we did this based on the fact that we wanted to be on the radio doing a show together.
Right.
We used to tape on my karaoke, pre-recorded, radio shows. Nobody listened to them but us. But we said we did a radio show. We called it the Bobby and Travis show.
Bobby and Trav. Oh, I think we have a caller. Let's bring them on and see what they have to say. Oh, they've gone. Call back, whoever that was. The number is 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. If you have any questions for Rob, Trav, or me, or if you want to tell us in a very nice way to go fuck ourselves, give us a call right now.
When Travis and I were going back to what you said, how you joke about us being, gay and stuff. It's the funny thing is, Travis and I used to hang out at bars. We used to go together when we were both single, and we'd wonder why we'd always be like trying to talk to girls and pick up girls, and they, and one time a waitress said to me, she said, yeah, before I got to know you, but we always thought that you and Travis were a couple. Everybody that worked at the bar and everybody that hung out there, we thought you guys were a couple. So it's nothing new to us. And in fact, I think Travis's girlfriend now still thinks we're a couple. I don't know.
What about Patty? Does Patty think you're a couple? Is Patty your beard, Rob?
I accidentally whispered your name in her ear when I was fucking her. Sorry.
Oh, well, that should be
you
it.
guys are crazy. So I want to just go back a little bit to this Twitter thing. You know, where do you think this kind of bad feeling kind of all comes from, and all this kind of, you know, competitive bullshit? Because for me, and I think I've proven this to you guys, you know, I plug your show, you plug my show, anything I can do for you, I'm happy to do. And I'm very happy to coexist. But there's always this, and I'm not saying it's coming from you, but there's always this kind of, like, air of competitiveness, this fight, this, and it's got boring, you know? There's room for all of us, isn't there, surely?
Yeah, well, I mean, whether you're doing a podcast or not, I think you see it within there. Or, people are competitive in general, especially if they're doing a podcast or internet radio show. But, I mean, I think the problem with Twitter, and you're finding it with actual celebrities now, is that it's just too easy to go in and type whatever's on your mind. Before, all these horrible thoughts that run through your head, they would stay to yourself. But now people are typing it in their Facebook statuses and Twitter, so it's so easy to be negative and nasty, and I'm guilty of it. And you're guilty of it. Travis kind of keeps out of that. I mean, he doesn't really get too negative on social media, but Travis isn't really
but he's always stoned, so I mean, you know, what do you
he's not a negative person in general. He's never been one to be negative, gossipy, or anything like that. But but majority of people are. You know, Travis is rare with that. He's, you know, he's not on the majority there. So I mean, everybody's meltdowns, whether you're famous or not famous, they always make it public because you're typing your twisted thought on Twitter and Facebook. So I think that's the problem. And as far as podcasts, everybody can do it. But I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, because, you know, I'm a huge fan of Jake's show, but I get so envious.
Me too.
Sometimes. I do. I mean, because Jake, when I first interviewed him, I knew him from Roseanne's Nuts. I didn't realize until right before I was about to interview him that he did a podcast, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to check it out. And, you know, we talked. He said, I really like the, you know, format of your show, and that's kind of the same thing that I do. And I listened to Jake, and Jake is just kind of like, you know, progressed with these getting these huge guests, and now he's got Debbie the Cat Lady. I'm like, I'm so envious with that.
Don't go there.
This stuff that I've been trying to, you know, do, and you know, I went on this campaign for, you know, months trying to get Rosie O'Donnell on my show. He got her on the show.
Right.
I mean, but he's got a better combination, and
and his mother is Roseanne Barr. You know, I mean,
his mother's Roseanne Barr, and plus he's also got a Jen, who is an extremely talented and very hard worker for the show. She puts in a lot of time and work for that show, so. You know, it's a perfect combo, and she even says it too. She says, you know, and it's not like he runs around going, hey, you know, I'm Roseanne Barr's son, do my show. She says, I do it for him, you know. He doesn't want to do that, you know, so I go and do that, you know, and say, hey, come on our show.
I mean, I've said to him often enough that he doesn't kind of use that fact to his advantage enough. And I think that, he should. I said if Roseanne Barr was my mom, I'd have it tattooed on my ass. I'd have T-shirts printed. You know, come do my show. Roseanne Barr is my mother. But he kind of doesn't do that. But funnily enough, first time I had seen Jake on Nuts, and number one, I thought he was gay. But then I heard him on his mother's show because I started listening to his mother's show before I started doing my radio show. And I heard him on there, and I thought, you make a lot of sense. So I found him on Twitter. And you know, we kind of we got to be friends and stuff, and I have a lot of respect for him. I like his show. You know, him and I bitch, and people DM me all day saying, "Oh, are you and Jake fighting again?" I mean, no, we're not fighting again. We're friends and we bitch. It's funny, you know. But I wish I had a buck for every time people would DM me and ask me if we're fighting.
You can ask Trav. You can ask Travis. Both of us don't really listen to any other internet radio shows besides our own.
Yeah, I've noticed.
I mean, we just, we're both busy, but and not so much Travis, but me. Travis can tell you that Jake is one that I really like. I go out of my way to make sure I listen to because it's something that like not just because I know him, but something I would like to listen to, and I guess that's what makes me envious, because I think that people do the same thing with us as we do with them. Your friends, you're like, all right, yeah, come on my show, blah blah blah, and then you don't have time to listen to theirs, and I don't know, it just seems the way it is. Like you said, it's very competitive, and then people are too busy doing their own thing and getting their own shows together. So you don't make it to all my shows. I don't make it to all your shows, and I mean,
no.
Yeah,
I mean, I like Fallon. I like Fallon's show, but mostly after I've listened to Jake's show, I have to go off and be getting ready for my show the next day, so I don't get a chance to listen to hers, and sometimes I listen to them on back pedal and stuff. But you don't kind of always have time to do it. Joe is saying, and Kathy does a lot for Jake's show too to find guests. Yep, I agree with that.
Okay. I don't know the whole side. I just know that it does a lot of work for the guests. But yeah, I know. Jake's got his whole call puts in a lot of work for him.
They're all like little worker bees for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him for. I don't blame him for kind of recruiting fans and friends of the show to do stuff, because I tell you, if I could get people to do shit for me, I would do it. A few people have commented that they thought Jake was gay too when they watched Nuts, and he's not, unfortunately.
I was watching it the other day, and I was watching the way he sat on like the love seat. It was very effeminate, and I said, that's why, because he told me that everybody thought he was gay on the show, and I didn't really pick up on it. I was looking for it the last time I watched.
Yeah, he said after they filmed it and they were cutting it all together, he said he went home and said to his wife, "Now I've really got to warn you, I come across as being really faggy on this show." I'm like, what? She'd never noticed this before, because he's obviously straight. He's married, and I don't doubt his sexuality, but on screen he's a little femme, and my gaydar is really good, but I was kind of not sure with him. Really, I wasn't, but I guess now I am.
Right. And just to wrap things up, with that, I mean, I just think Jake's a very talented radio host. He's very blessed to have the following that he has that's willing to, help him out so much. And I think it's great. I think eventually, Jake is going to get a real quote-unquote radio show.
I don't doubt it. And, I have friends in Sirius that I'm really trying to get them to do something for me. And they're looking at Jake too. And I've even mentioned your show to them. I think it's imperative when you get a foot in the door somewhere, you have to wedge your whole leg in for friends and stuff too. But I just think it's so difficult at the moment to get anything. I mean, they didn't fill Rosie O'Donnell's slot, for want of a better phrase, after she left Sirius. And I don't know if that was, a budget thing or what, but, I think that's a big element to any decision that they're trying to make at these bigger stations like Sirius and CBS, because the money's just not there, No, I mean, frankly, I do it for free for a few months just to kind of get in the door, but, they're not really cool with that either.
In fact, I mean, it's just, I guess radio is just not making that much money. I mean, I think even places like CBS, it's one thing doing a show for free like we do, but CBS wants people to pay to be on their stations. They say, this amount of money, and it's like $300-400 a show. They want you to pay them to be on it, and they go, well, you can get potential advertising if you say you're on CBS. And it's just ridiculous.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I pay to be on Blog Talk, and they get advertising revenue from my page, and I get a share of that. But I'm yet to see a check. Did you ever get a check from Blog Talk for advertising revenue?
I did. I think I ended up, altogether getting like, $50 maybe I got. But
wow.
That was like, with tons, like hundreds of thousands of hits, because, we were in page 6 with the Brad Garrett thing. We had Lisa Lampanelli on a few times. we had a lot of big guests when we were on Blog Talk Radio, and we were a featured show on Blog Talk Radio. We were always on the front page. So I mean, we got a lot of hits. We got a lot of listens through Blog Talk Radio. In fact, I don't even know why we left, but I mean, hey, I mean, it kind of went downhill. The guy that does the advertising for Blog Talk Radio, that did marketing, he got fired and he told us that he wasn't doing it, and he was the one that was getting us featured. He's the one that got us in Page 6 News, and they let him go.
Wow.
They said, listen, we're not trying to put out all this extra money to promote these hosts. We just want their fees.
Yeah, they just want to get. I mean, I'm convinced it's run by two sisters and their dad from their spare room. You know, I am, because, you know, every time you speak, you know, I mean, I know I can be stroppy, but every time I speak to them there, and I'm paying for a service, they give me such attitude until I stood up to them and I said, look, you know, screw this. If this is the way you're going to be, I'm going elsewhere because I'm paying for this service. And then they were totally different after that. But don't fuck with me regarding something I'm paying for, because it's my right to tell you when you're not doing it right. But I think lots of people are having issue with even just the kind of basic technology and the recording quality and the show quality with Blog Talk. And I think it's getting better, but I think it's still got a long way to go. I mean, even the sound quality from what you do and what I do is different. And I don't know whether that's a software issue or what it is, but I think it's a noticeable difference.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what we broadcast isn't radio quality. Blog Talk Radio uses a phone software system. It's all done through telephone, and obviously telephone real radio. They're not on the telephone. Howard Stern isn't holding the telephone doing the show through a telephone.
No.
So, it's just that's what they use. They use telephone software, and it's not going to be that great quality. But I mean, the benefit. I would be back in Blog Talk Radio if their old public relations guy was still there that they let go, because I mean we really were they were really good to us, and we really got a lot of hits. Like I said, after all those listens, we still only ended up making like $50 from them and that, you know, ad revenue, but it was still great exposure. And nowadays, you know, I hear people saying, like when we told Jake to come over, and people, they go, oh, nobody listens to that. You're not going to get any, you know. I'm like, well, these shows, you have to have your own following anyway, because unless you're getting like big names, Blog Talk isn't going to feature you. Nobody's going to know. You're going to be in a sea of hundreds of thousands of shows. So.
Well, I don't. This is the thing. You don't come to anything with a following unless you've kind of like I tried to build up my show for weeks with like a publicity campaign. You know, I put all these things out saying, you know, Xander Gibb has the perfect face for radio and all of this, and still it took time to build up. You know it. And I probably still don't have the same, you know, ratings as Jake, but I you know, I've been doing it for 6 months, and I think it's going pretty well. But I think that I would have been happy with just 50 listeners, to be honest. But you know, to get, you know, in excess of 2,000 for a show is, for me, is like, it's freaking amazing, because you don't expect to reach that many people. I mean, I know a lot of it with Blog Talk is kind of listens after, but I still think that every person that listens is a you know, it's another tick in your box for your listenership, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, most listens are through podcasts anyway. It's hard for people to get in and listen to a live, you know, internet radio show at whatever time is convenient for the host that's broadcasting it. So, podcasting's where it's at. You have to podcast your shows, or you're losing most of your potential listens.
So let me ask you this question, Trav. How do you deal with the negativity that comes from hosting a radio show on Twitter? How do you guys deal with that?
I don't consider that real. It's not in my face. It's not going to affect my day-to-day life, so it doesn't bother me. The only time I ever get fired up is if I've had quite a few drinks on the show, and I hear some shit I don't like in the chat room, and then I'll just blow up for a while, and then I'll get quiet again after I take another couple hits off the pipe. And I don't know. It's just once we go off the air, Everything, none of it bothers me anymore.
Great.
With the exception,
I said stuff and go on.
No, I was just going to say, with the exception, if I remember something I said that I'm not proud of or something that I did, then I might carry over to the next day and I'll feel guilty. But other than that, I shake it all off. If you don't like me, just don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen. That's my point, too. I love sometimes when I make a comment in the chat room and Rob will say, oh, Xander just said so-and-so, so-and-so, and you're like, who the fuck is this fucking Xander Gibb anyway?
Yeah, that was probably a beer number 5 rant.
So where did the Reverend Trav come in? How did that kind of come about? Did it just happen like by accident one night and you just carried on doing it? Because it's kind of funny. And when I first heard it, I thought, what is this? What's going on? Kathy is in the chat room and she said she loves Travis.
Yes, and I love Kathy. It's quite the Twitter love affair.
Yes.
But Reverend Travis, it did happen by accident, actually. We were doing a video show on, what were we doing at that time, Rob? Was that Brick House?
I think that started on Levy Land.
Anyway, we were doing a show real late one night, and, different people would come into the chat room, and they had what were called side cams, where people could actually, if they had a webcam, they could actually, click a button or whatever and get up on the side cam. So this girl gets up on the side cam, and she's really, really large, and she's got a couple of chins, and she's got a little bit of facial hair going on. And that was when we were doing Brick House Radio and Levy Land, there were a lot of people in there that they were harsh. That's what they did. These people were like Howard Stern fans and whatever. They loved to be harsh. They would talk shit on everybody, trying to make each other laugh and whatnot. And so this girl comes in. I had a bunch of drinks. So we both had a bunch of drinks. We were on like the third hour of the show or something. We were just going and going and going. She comes in and starts preaching a little bit, and she's got a Bible in her hand and whatnot. And I just busted out with Reverend Trav right there. And the most famous line of the night, because like I said, she had a little facial hair going on, is Reverend Trav said, "For less than the price of a mustache waxing kit, you can be saved right here on this program." And the people just went wild over it. And that was basically the birth of Reverend Trav. Now, I ripped her such a new one. I was obviously sarcastically talking about Christianity and Jesus, and she didn't like that, and she's yelling at us and saying we're evil and all this shit. And all of a sudden, she leaves the camera for a minute, goes into the kitchen, comes back with a giant fucking knife, and starts to proceed to, she was going to slit her wrists right there on the show.
Oh, my God.
And I said, yo, Rob, stop the fucking program. I went out of character immediately. I stop the program. I cannot be responsible for this.
God. You would die, wouldn't you? I mean, that's the last thing you want happening on the show. I just have to point out to you, there's two things from the chat room. Travis, people are talking about your penis, and honestly, it wasn't even me that brought it up. It was the ladies that started talking about your penis. And Marvin wants to know if it's you with the Reverend Trav Twitter account.
Yes,
it was Joe actually that started talking about your penis, but carry on. So, sorry.
Well, what's my penis got to do with anything?
They were talking about an echo in the chat room. Oh no, I beg your pardon, Joe. It was Tara. Tara Fox said LMAO, and by echo you mean penis. So that's where they started talking about your penis. So it wasn't Joe. I apologize, Joe. I officially apologize on behalf of Xandermonium. Joe, it was not you. It was Tara. Sorry, carry on. The Reverend Trav Twitter account.
Well, no, it's not mine. It's Reverend Travis called me today and told me he made his Twitter account public because he's had Twitter for a while. He gets direct messages from Jesus, but he just made his account public.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Reverend Travis.
So I'm confused. Is it you or isn't it you?
For Christ's sake, who is Reverend Trav?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Hey,
Xander.
You're 3 bong balls ahead of me, dude. So come on. Sorry, Rob. You were going to say something?
No, I was going to say Reverend Travis is really good based on Travis and I growing up and going to church and dealing with these kind of Baptist ministers, and then they'd be on TV, and Travis's dad would watch these ministers on TV, and then late at night we'd see them on TV, and they'd be, selling, they would be charging on TV for you to pray for them. But, I remember this guy, Reverend Shamrock, he sold a prayer cloth. God would answer your prayers better if you prayed with this cloth that he was selling. And also, if you had a really emergency prayer, you pay money and you're on Reverend Shamrock's prayer list, because if he prays for you, then there's a better chance of, God answering it. So, and I mean, if you turn on TV late at night, you'll see a ton of these guys. And that's basically what Reverend Travis is, one of these guys that becomes on the Rob and Trav show, and he basically tries to sell people Jesus.
That's really exploitative, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what's funny, Xander, is you would think that Christians would really, really get upset about it, and I'm sure some do when they realize it's sarcastic. But the funny thing is some of the biggest fans of Reverend Trav since it started have been Christians, who are devout Christians who actually try to preach in the chat room here and there once in a while. There was this one kid who hated me. There's a couple of people actually who hate me but love Reverend Trav.
Yeah, I think because Reverend Travis, people realize he's really not making fun of Christianity. He's making fun of the preachers that exploit it.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll admit I do have some bad feelings about Christianity, only because that's what my
I think we all do.
That's what my parents steeped me in my whole life. I mean, in my teen years, when I'm 17 years old, I was a youth group leader, and I had a youth band, a Christian band, where I was the only one who had any musical talent.
Was it Trav and the Stoners?
No, I didn't smoke weed back then.
Wow.
I was in a sad state, my friend. But anyway, and I had some real bad experiences in the Christian churches and whatnot, and I really saw through them, for what they are. It's really a business. Most of these places they're just a business. They run like a business. People are trying to profit off it. Preachers get salaries and houses given to them and built for them and whatnot. It's ridiculous. It's
and
ridiculous.
a percentage of the takings on a Sunday. What's it called? The offering. They get a percentage of that too. For me, I'm a very spiritual person, but God and the church are two totally different things. I mean, God sits in a corner weeping about what goes on in the church today.
Absolutely,
really, I mean.
And I feel that. And just for the record, it's I don't mind if people are Christian. I'm absolutely freedom of religion. Believe what you want to believe, but don't judge me based upon it, and don't try to shove it down my throat.
I think.
Wait, are we still talking about religion that you don't want us to shove down your throat, or something else?
Don't get excited, Xander. Put it away.
Sorry, Trav. Go on, Rob. You were going to say something.
No, I think the real cults out there, are churches. I mean, you go there and you have all these people living in poverty they're going to these churches, giving a percentage of their income, while these pastors. The last church I went to, me and Patty went right after Lucy was born. We decided we'd give church a try. You struggle with that when you have a kid. Like, should we be teaching her that? And I just remember just being so turned off. I remember to become a member, we had to go to some class, and basically, they shoved everything. I don't want to say shove it down your throat again. I don't want to get Xander all excited. But,
I'm just getting over it being said the last time.
But anyway, I remember they got, and of course, to remain a member of this church, that you have to give 10 or 15% of your check.
Yeah, they call it a tithe, and they make you feel guilty if you don't give it. And they give you a book of envelopes, one for every week of the year. And I used to be in this church, and they said, we haven't had your little packet for a few weeks. I'm like, how the fuck would you know that? They're numbered. They write down the number of the packets they give you. So if you haven't put your packet in every week, they want to know what's going on.
Yeah, don't give this church any.
Wow.
Don't give this church any ideas, because I remember a woman going, "What do we have to write a check? How do you know that we're paying every week?" And they go, "Oh, we don't, but God will know." But anyway, and listen, this was a huge church, and it had like 4 or 5 pastors in it, and they all had 10 kids, lived in gorgeous houses, and I'm thinking, and they had no other jobs but being a pastor at this church.
Wow.
So,
I think we're in the wrong business. I think we should start a church and we'll just split the proceeds, Or we'll actually use it for something good, something that actually helps people rather than lining the pockets of fat, greedy Christians.
Maybe we'll get Reverend Travis on there, because he's really not any more, actually, that much more ridiculous than the normal Baptist pastor.
Yeah, can you just imagine him in the preacher's outfit at the front, and you and I in choir outfits singing "Brotherly, Brotherly."
Well, I don't know if you guys know, that is during the Reverend Travis bits. That is actually me playing the organ.
Whose organ, though? That's what I want to know.
My own.
So you heard it here on Xandermonium, folks. Rob from the Rob and Trav show plays with his organ during the show. Just let's go to the chat room very quickly, because I know they get to feel a little neglected. Something I noticed Austin said, Sleep Disney 2, he said a little while ago that Jersey boys are hung. I wouldn't know if that's true, Austin, but I'm sure interested in finding out. Joe said 10% is in the Bible. Yep, that's true. Tithing is in the Bible. Marvin said,
inflation.
Who cares?
Jesus needs about 20%. Inflation, Xandermonium.
25%. Marv says, who cares what's in the Bible? Joe, so is stoning women and who go in the synagogue when they are menstruating. Don't want to think about menstruating today. But I saw something recently about the Westboro Baptist Church said that all gay men should be stoned, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. I want mine in a bong and make it skunk,
Yeah.
I mean,
shit, if they're handing that out to gay people, I'll be gay for the day.
Yeah, we've heard that you're gay for pay, Trav. Trav is anyone's for a quarter of skunk.
We actually when we were still Night Views Radio, the Westboro Baptist Church was really hounding me to be on the show, because Lisa Lampanelli was coming on, and they were picketing one of her concerts, and
yeah, didn't she send pizza to them all or something? I can't remember.
No,
there was something that
she said. When she found out they were coming, she said, "All right, for every one of you that shows up, I'm going to donate $1,000 to the gay men's health crisis."
That was better than pizza.
Yeah, so she did that, and boy, I remember I said. So anyway, I considered it. I thought it might be funny, but I talked to Lisa's publicist, and she said, Lisa really don't want to talk to them. She's just totally uncomfortable with them, that they're creepy. So they sent in this recording. I still have it. I think I opened the show with it, where that Fred Phelps sent us a message, saying that we were the fag media, encouraging her, and
wow.
Money that she donates want to help the cost of one dying fag. It was a whole. He sent a whole nasty message to us, but yeah. So they wanted to be on the show, but Lisa wasn't interested in talking to him at all.
So did you see recently that Susie Meister, who's one of the co-hosts of Jake's show now, and she was involved in some MTV thing, which name escapes me. She did an interview recently with the with a woman, one of the daughters of Fred Phelps from the Westboro Baptist Church, and basically I watched that, and to see that person, you wouldn't think that they were the haters that we know they are. And I sent this tweet saying, great interview, blah blah blah, and Fred Phelps Jr. retweeted me, and it was like Satan himself was poking his bony finger at my God. And I wasn't sure. I retweet. I screen capped the thing that he said, and that he'd retweeted me, and was like, I'm not sure if I should be scared about this, but I don't think that these people have been given a bad rap, because the things that they do are an abomination. When soldiers go to fight for this country, to keep us safe, to give us these privileges, to be able to say what we feel and do what we want to do, to have these freedoms, and then these bastards, and that's a strong word, but it's true, but when they go picket the funeral of someone that's fought and died for our country, don't tell me that that's God's will.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're sickening, and but I do want to say that I thought Susie took a very interesting and unique approach to that interview, because
I do.
She really humanized them, because they are human beings, even though they don't act like them, and they're warped and brainwashed that they're just fucking, insane. But she took an interesting approach, because whenever they're interviewed, whoever's interviewing them, everybody finds them repugnant and repulsive. So everybody's really nasty with them. She was very calm with them, and she was more interested in why they believed what they did, and she would talk to them as human beings, and wasn't argumentative with them, because she's very interested, because she is up for a PhD in religious studies or something like that. I thought it was a very unique and interesting approach, and kudos to her to be able to hold herself so elegantly and during an interview with one.
I could have done it, absolutely. Kudos to Susie. I love Susie. She's a great asset to Jake's show. Bye, Austin. Austin's telling us he's leaving the chat room. Just all say bye to Austin.
Bye, Austin.
Bye, Austin. I couldn't have interviewed anybody from that church as a gay person and not kind of personalized it, because for me, if you're attacking me and mine, then I can't. You see, for me, your message is lost when you bring hate into it. If you have a message to put across, get a podcast, write a blog, go see your senator, write to the governor, do what you have to do. But when you bring hate into it, your message is lost for me.
Well, I don't
Mark
like them.
just said, go on.
No, I was going to say I don't like them. I don't like anything they stand for. And it's a good thing that I'm not famous, and that the show hasn't been that hugely successful, because there's no doubt in my mind that if I was actually famous, they would have been picketing my dad's funeral when he died, because he was gay. So I mean, I have no respect for people.
Your dad was gay?
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope they picket my funeral, because it means you've done something good with your life. You see, I think that this is the thing. People only oppose you for a couple of reasons. They're either afraid of you or they're jealous of you. And if they're coming and picketing my funeral, it means I've done some good. Mark just said in the chat room that the things that WBC does are protected under the Constitution, and if we don't respect that, then how can we complain when people attempt to silence us? Now, I see that, but I think the thing about the Constitution, and you may agree or disagree, I think the Constitution is a fabulous document, but it was meant to be a work in progress, and it's over 200 years old, and it needs updating, because some of the rights are in conflict with others, like the right to life is in conflict with the right to hold a gun. Who says that your right to bear arms should outrank my right to life? Do you know what I mean? So it's an outdated ethic, some of it.
I agree, just like, the freedom of speech thing, but it's still, I think you can still get in trouble if you yell fire in a crowded movie theater, something like that.
Right.
I think as far as, your right to picket and all that stuff, it should be different when, at the funeral, yelling at people that are mourning for a lost loved one. I think it's a little, it's inappropriate and shouldn't be supported by any, type of Constitution.
No, absolutely. I think there is there's a line with freedom of speech, but there is the adage of that if we want to draw a line with freedom of speech, then there is no freedom of speech. So it is very difficult. Should some people be allowed to have freedom of speech and others not? It's a very fine line, to tread.
Maybe we should let these people, the families that are mourning, sue them because there's like a freedom of speech, but like if I go around saying, hey, and posting everywhere on the internet, Xander's really straight and he's a part of the Westboro Baptist Church and hates gay people, you could sue me for slander, So why not?
Right. Or Xander, as Marv has given us the phraseology, Xander. I think people tried to do that, and the funny thing is that they won, but then the WC asked for costs and got the costs. I mean, how freaking ridiculous is that? I love this country. I'm very patriotic, but sometimes I turn around and shake my head and say, whatever is the ideology behind that BS? Because that cannot be American. Is this still America when we are paying costs to the WBC, their court costs when they have lost the case? I mean, I can't equate it really.
No, I'd love to find out who footed that bill.
Well, you and I and Rob, the taxpayers will have footed the bill, and frankly, the same people that will be footing the bill to ship that terrorist body back to his native country, and for his funeral and stuff here, and for his parents to be shipped into the country, the taxpayer again.
Well, you can love your country without loving your government, my friend.
Yeah. I'm glad. Let's talk for a few minutes about politics. What do you think about Obama? Are you pro Obama? Do you think he's doing a good job? How do you guys feel?
I'll say that my opinion is always and forever that it doesn't matter who sits in that seat. Nothing's going to change. The funny thing is that we are the United States, and we're everything but united.
Absolutely.
But go ahead, Rob.
I know nothing of politics, and in fact, I feel ashamed that I even have voted the last couple elections because I never completely, and who really does completely know the truth about each candidate, and I tend to vote for people based on a feeling I get from them,
Right.
And before I realized what a fucking, whack job that Sarah Palin is, when they first introduced her, I'm saying, she seems like a nice gal, friendly.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I realized now she's a fucking lunatic. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Totally.
I think I'm falling in the trap that everybody falls in, where you think you either have to vote for a Republican or Democrat, otherwise it's a wasted vote. But I think from now on, because I think Jesse Ventura said it best, a vote for a Republican or a Democrat is that's the wasted vote if you vote for a Republican or a Democrat, because you get the same thing. So I think now I'm going to research more the independent and put my vote towards an independent, whether they get elected or not, just because the whole two-party Democrat-Republican thing, it's just it's not working anymore.
No, it's not. But the funny thing is, as a lifelong Democrat, I have recently kind of left the Democrats, and I've not become a Republican. I'm kind of leaning more towards libertarianism. But I think the media on both sides brainwash us into kind of believing, each kind of side of the argument. And depending whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you kind of you lean more towards what your thinking and ideology is. And I think there are good and bad things on both sides. And I think in this country for far too long, Democrats have been led to hate Republicans, and Republicans have been led to hate Democrats. I watched this show the other week, Wife Swap, and there was this woman on there from a Tea Party called Gina Loudon, and they painted her to be homophobic, and they tried to make it look like she was saying that polyamorous lifestyles were the same as gay marriage, and you know, it was just about all the way it had been cut together, because that was the agenda of Lifetime Television. You know, that's their particular methodology. And I attacked this woman on Twitter. I said, you know, you may dress like a Christian, but that's where it ends. And I'm glad I did. You know, I was rude to her, and I'm sorry for that, and I apologize publicly on her show. But it started civil discourse between us, and I went on her show and we were talking about what we had in common. And for me, this is the way forward, because we have to look at what we agree on, and let's look at what we don't agree on later, because if we can't agree on some basic principles, then we're never going to have a United States again, are we?
Yeah, well, I think in today's world, today's society, it's much easier to disagree and be negative and find the negative in something than it is the positive. So I think that's why things are the way they are today. Absolutely.
So we touched a bit at the beginning, Trav, about the organic lifestyle, but when and where did it begin for both of you? What made you start to effect these changes in your life? Because I know that you both are trying to kind of live an organic, have a more organic way of life, you know, just as I am too. Where did it start for you guys?
Well, I don't know. Travis said that I know that he wanted to go organic a while back when he had his UFO experience. He said he felt a little more enlightened, but it was just too expensive and he couldn't afford it. And I guess he just kind of lost that. And then, me and my wife had it was more my wife. She started reading up a lot on the GMOs and the pesticides, and she got really, freaked out. Not even for us. It's just like we've been feeding this crap to our daughter, and she said, I really think we should go more towards natural and organic. I said, okay, what the hell, and I love it. I mean, I've been a big supporter of it. I've been preaching it on the show, and I just think it's a great way. I know it's not easy for everybody. It's not easy for me now, but especially with the cost of natural and organic food over
very expensive
$1 menu at McDonald's, but
yeah.
It's hard to keep up with it, and it takes a lot of work. And Travis started when he came over to the show to do the shows every week. He would have dinner here, and I would feed him the organic, and I'd be talking about it. And I'm a very big advocate of juicing, like with organic fruits and vegetables. I love that. And I had a policy that we had to juice before every show and make us feel better. I thought it would. The outcome of the show would be better, that I thought we should juice right before a show. So, and Travis just kind of got addicted that way, right, Travis?
Yeah, I piggyback like Rob said years ago after my UFO experience, and I felt enlightened on a bunch of shit. I did start to live an organic lifestyle, but as soon as I saw my grocery bill, I bought a week's worth, and I saw that it was about. It was like $75 more expensive than if I had bought non-organic, and at the time I had like a quote unquote family with my ex-girlfriend and her kids, so there were a lot of costs when you got a family going on. So my money was being dumped into them, and we just couldn't afford it. So you lose traction at that point, or momentum, I should say.
Don't you feel, I mean, I've been eating like 95% organically for probably about a year now. It's very difficult to be 100% organic, because when you go out or when you go to someone's house, they're not kind of prepared for that, and nor should they be. But like, I know that when I have food that's not organic, it makes me feel ill, but I felt so much better in the long term. And I've had less illness. I felt my immunity has built up, since I've got rid of all the toxins, because there is so many toxins in the food. One of my friends who's totally organic even buys organic toothpaste and organic products for the house, like cleaning products and stuff.
Yeah, my wife makes all that herself. She makes me and Travis. She makes Travis's girlfriend makeup. I mean, my wife makes everything naturally and organically. So, it's just that stuff's, I think that stuff's worse than the food, the cleaning products and the stuff you put on your skin and your hair, because your body absorbs it, just likes it.
Absolutely. I was saying to Trav at the foot of the show about a friend of mine was talking to me about, and I always kind of think of this when you're talking about it on your show. I said to him about organic cannabis, because obviously it's a lot to do with the seed and the soil when you actually first start the process. But I certainly think that a lot more people would be. You see, if the government, because 25 years ago, organic didn't exist, because before they started pumping all the chemicals and shit into stuff to make it grow faster and all these things, everything was organic anyway. And if the farming processes changed where they weren't using so many pesticides and chemicals and all of these things, we wouldn't have the same level of illness. Within 10 years, they reckon that the population would be healthier and all of these things, but they don't. But they don't think about it in terms of health and well-being for people. It's all about money and profit, because if they want to get things a certain shape and get things to grow faster, they've got to pump it full of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, the U.S. is worse than any other country. There's a lot of countries in Europe banned a lot of these ingredients, and the U.S. companies changed their formula just for those countries so they could still sell it there, but they leave it the same. They still leave the garbage in ours,
Absolutely. Well, we're getting towards the end now. I thought what we'd do for a bit of fun is to play a game of Marry, Fuck, or Kill, if you guys are cool with that.
Sure.
And also, I wanted to just give out the number again if anybody wants to call in with their beef. There looks to be some beefs in the chat room. Call us 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Have your platform for the last section of the show. I hope Rob and Trav will stay for that. I don't know, maybe you're pissed with me, maybe you're pissed with them, maybe you're just pissed with the whole world. But we will be taking your calls right after this game of Marry, Fuck, or Kill.
Okay.
So you guys cool with that?
Do it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Well, what we'll do is we'll take it in turns, and we'll start with Rob. And I'll give you three names, and obviously you respond with Marry, Fuck, or Kill. I know you've played this on your show too. Maybe not with such familiar names, but let's see how we do. All right, Rob. First one for you: Marry, Fuck, or Kill. Chelsea Handler, Oprah Winfrey, and Heather McDonald.
Heather McDonald. Who's that? Is that the Chelsea Lately writer?
Yeah. She was on Jake's show the other day.
Yeah. So
no sense of humor.
She has no sense of humor?
No, she's a comedian, and I told her I'd bought her book, and I said, I bought your book, and it's great as a doorstop, and she's like, why so mean? I'm like, you're a comedian. Come back with something funnier. But anyway, I digress. Chelsea Handler, Oprah Winfrey, and Heather McDonald.
Okay, I mean, I guess it's easy. I would marry Oprah, obviously. She's rich.
For the money,
power. Why not? Why does Stedman get all the glory? And I would fuck Chelsea Handler. She's an attractive-looking broad, and then I would kill that Heather McDonald because she's not that great looking, and she's not that famous.
All right. Well, that was kind of predictable, but okay. Right. Trav, Sarah Palin, Ann Coulter, and Hillary Clinton.
Who the fuck is Ann Coulter?
Ann Coulter is this blonde bitch who has the audacity to talk shit about the president and call him, what was it she called him, a retard, and
she's like a
she's
really
just not very nice anyway.
Scraggly Republican. She's a columnist and like a commentator.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say cocksucker them, but go on.
And she's a cop.
Probably that too.
All right, I guess I'll marry Hillary.
Okay.
I'll fuck. I'm just gonna say I'll fuck Ann Coulter because I don't really know who she is, and I'd kill Sarah Palin. She needs to go.
Right.
I would.
She needs to shut up, if nothing else.
I would reverse the. I'd kill Ann Coulter and Palin.
I think a lot. What didn't she say recently? Wasn't she referring to killing Michelle Malkin? All this Republican infighting. I can't keep up with it. All right, listen up, chat room, because this one's going to be interesting. It's your turn now, Rob. And your choice of 3 are Xander, Gibb, Brody Stewart, and Jake Pentland.
That's great.
Are you listening, Brody? Because I know he's in chat.
Hold on. I would. Oh my gosh! You put in 3. Harry fuck kills. Anything I do to Brody is going to be illegal, by the way.
Right. But obviously, this is just for fun, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I would. Jeez, I don't know.
Let's be real, Rob. You'd fuck Jake in a heartbeat. Let's get that out of the way.
Well, I get along with Jake.
Yeah, we know you lust after him.
I would marry.
I have one wall full of pictures of Jake. You have 5 rooms. Come on, be honest.
Please. That's a hard one. And
she said.
Yeah, we don't tell us personal things. Just answer the question.
Right. I will. Oh God. Give me. I will marry Brody, fuck Jake, and kill Xander.
Oh, thank you, bastard.
And I have
all
no
right.
reasoning behind it.
Go on.
I said I have no reasoning behind it, but those are my choices. There you have it.
All right, bitch. Trav, Jennifer Aniston, Lucille Ball, and Pink. What?
Oh, Lord. I would marry Lucille Ball. I'd fuck Jennifer Aniston, and I'd kill Pink.
Yeah.
Right.
Good choice.
For any particular reason, or just because?
Because I know Kathy's going to hate me now, and she's never hated me before.
I know she's gone. No, she's still there. Kathy, you're still in the chat room. Trav wants to kill Pink. Did you hear that?
No, I would honestly.
Okay.
I did that to fuck with her. I would keep Pink around and get rid of Aniston. Aniston's pretty useless.
Yeah, she's kind of after Friends. She's just not really,
No,
mind you, I did like her
sure.
in that The Object of My Affection, but that's only because it was a gay flick.
That's
all right, moving swiftly on. Yeah, you just outed me on the air, Trav. No one knew.
Oops.
All right, Rob, Rosie O'Donnell, Fortune Feimster, and Lisa Lampanelli.
Okay, hold on. Let's stop the clock here. What was the second one you said?
Fortune Feimster. She's a comedian, lesbian comedian on the Chelsea Lately Show.
And her name is Fortune, her first name?
Yeah, Fortune. What a name.
What's her last name? I got to look at this broad before I make a decision.
Feimster. Feimster.
All right, let me just get the images here. Whew, gosh. She looks like Xander.
You bitch, you don't even really know what you wait till I come to your house, bitch. You will not even know it's me. You will be so surprised. The difference in personalities in person and on the radio and on Twitter. I look forward to meeting you both anyway when I actually get my invitation to come for dinner.
All right, you can come anytime. So I've this one. I have Fortune Feimster. I have Lisa Lampanelli, and who else?
Rosie O'Donnell. Rhodey's friend, Rosie.
I would marry Rosie.
Right.
Oh God, I don't know. She's probably a night. She seems nice on TV, but she's probably a nightmare to live with.
Rosie? Probably. I love her though.
No. Okay. Let me see. I'll marry Lisa. I love Lisa. But now I have to fuck one of these tubby bitches. I'll fuck Rosie and I'll kill this one in the Hooters shirt eating a KFC bucket.
Fortune Feimster.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, Trav even, Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, and Mad Lou.
Oh,
as in Jen, the co-host from the Jake Penland Show.
Okay, I'd marry Jen. I'll marry Jen.
Right.
I'll fuck Taylor Swift, and I'll have to kill Miley Cyrus because I've seen too many Nickelodeon shows when she was underage, so I can't get involved with that. So I'll kill her.
Just the voice. I mean, I'm gay, so it kind of doesn't work for me anyway. But just the voice, that voice would just put me up right away.
Yeah, like
no,
she sounds like she's been smoking for 50 years.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Yeah. All right, Rob, Tina Turner, Cher, and Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne, I'd marry Roseanne Barr.
Right.
I would fuck Cher, and I would kill Tina Turner. I don't know why.
Brody just said in the chat room, Trav would love to marry Miley. They're both potheads. Sorry, I just had to share that. Sorry, tell me again. Tina Turner, Cher, Roseanne Barr. Marry Roseanne Barr.
Yes, I would fuck Cher, and I would kill Tina Turner. But I don't know that, because I like them both, but I like Cher more. I don't know. No, Cher's crazy. Maybe you know what? I'll fuck Tina and kill Cher. Cher's annoying.
Oh. You have to choose. You have to choose.
All right.
All right. So Trav.
Go ahead.
Go on. Sarah Jessica Parker, Liv Ullmann, and Lindsay Lohan.
I don't know Liz Ullmann, man, and I'm not at a computer right now.
She's an actress.
Oh, that breaks it down. Okay, I have the answer now. Now, who are the other two?
You know the one. She was in that movie.
Yeah, right. She's that actress in that movie, and she gets paid money, right?
Yeah.
What's her last name?
Ullmann.
And name the other two again, real quick.
Lindsay Lohan, always in trouble with the cops.
Right.
Gets into trouble for allegedly shoplifting. And Sarah Jessica Parker was the broad from Sex and the City.
Right.
Carrie Bradshaw.
What's Liz Ullmann look like, Rob?
I can't find her.
She looks like a man.
She looks like an.
So there you go. You could fuck her, Trav.
Yeah, fuck you, dude.
God, you guys make this more complicated than it needs to be.
We think
just
this
go
with
your gut.
Much. Yeah, I don't want to stamp my name on something. Anyway, I'll kill Lohan because I can't be anywhere near her because I always have weed and she's always getting cops involved. So I'll get rid of her. I'll marry Sarah Jessica Parker and I'll fuck Liz Ullmann.
Okay.
Even though I don't know what she looks like.
You went for the manly one in the end, Rob. Did you notice that?
Well, I don't want to fuck Sarah Jessica Parker. She's a turnoff.
Yeah, she's got like a Lionel Richie chin, hasn't she? Every time I see her, I just want to go, hello. All right, last one for you.
Wait,
sorry,
Rob,
go on.
What'd you say?
Go on, Rob.
I said, how come Travis didn't get a group of guys like I did?
I've got a group of guys. This is the last one for you, Rob, and then I have a group of guys for. I can't believe I'm saying this. Hey, Trav, I have a group of guys for you. All right, Rob, Sherry Shepherd, Mad Lou, as in Jen Lou, and Ann Romney. That's Mitt Romney's wife.
Ann Romney. I would marry Mad Lou. I would fuck Mitt's wife, and I would kill. Who was the third one?
The third one was Sherry Shepherd, Mad Lou, and Ann Romney.
Oh yeah, I definitely kill Sherry Shepherd. She's a fucking moron. And yeah, I'd marry Mad Lou, and I'd have the old horizontal table with Mrs. Mitt.
Right. Okay. There's no accounting for taste. All right, Trav, and finally for you, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Barack Obama, and Jake Pentland.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Barack Obama, and Jake Pentland. Well, I can't kill Obama because if I do, I might be on some terrorist watch list.
Yeah, and you might be called a racist, too,
Yeah, this one's an easy one. I would have been able to answer this with the guys that you gave me, but go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna have to marry Obama, so maybe I could get my agenda into the presidency.
Is that another word for your penis, or what?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'll fuck Jake Pentland because I don't want to kill him, or else everybody will tell him, and he'll think I hate him. So I'll fuck him, and I'll kill Schwarzenegger.
Right. Well, we've just actually run out of time, but listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for everyone in the chat room. Make sure you check out the Rob and Trav show. Chav, I'm sorry, that was a wrong teeth in today. The Rob and Trav show. Which tell them when it is, guys.
It's every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Grindhouse Radio, and we do a new a podcast called the Trav and Rob Cast. That's on robandtrav.com.
So make sure you check them out. Listen, guys, I've had a fabulous time today. Thanks for joining us, and let's do this again sometime.
Indeed.
Sure. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, and we will see you all next week. Thanks to everyone in the chat room, to Brody, to Kat.
London has been good to me this time around. Things were bound to change when it was